thank you so much. I hope you're enjoying what you're having today. This is kind of what I would eat. I've been a vegetarian now for 23 years because I used to weigh 300 pounds, and I had quite a motivation, and I had what they call terminal heart disease, and the doctor kept telling me, Wendell, get ready, call your family, you're going to die. And, oh, thanks, doc, but I disagree with you. And that was in 1989, and 100 pounds later, and 23 years have passed, and I've held my ground because I feel awesome. I can't even begin to tell you that at 40 years old, when this all kind of went down, my favorite meal was a box of Krispy Kreme, and a 6-pack of beer, and a bottle of Jack, and a pack of Marlboro Reds, and I was a happy chef. That's what I figured made a happy chef. But then I realized I was just fulfilling a stereotype. But anyway, again, my name is Wendell Fowler. A lot of you may have been to this class before. I don't know whether you have or not, but how many have been here to hear my talk before? Okay, I don't want to repeat myself too much then. But so you know the setup. The setup is that I overcame, kind of got a second chance in life. I was a chef. I had a catering company. We serviced the NBA and rock stars and anybody who had a jet come in Indianapolis. We were out there loading up a jet with all the food, and that's where Mark and I met, my partner back there. And we had kind of exciting thing. But the more I realized how much I was doing to the food and what was in the food that I was serving to people, I started feeling really bad because I thought, well, I've been spared. I walked out 2 weeks later after being told I was going to die, a complete miracle, and I didn't have to ever do anything again. My heart went back to its normal size. Everything went back to normal. The doctors were amazed. It was just a pure miracle, and so I'm just the recipient. But because my mission wasn't done, I'm in a position of helping people. So I started writing and teaching, and TV happened, and now I've been on Channel 8 now for 10 years. No one's more surprised than I. But it's interesting to note that as we get more interested in what I talk about, and that is the power of food that happens to your body when you eat it. The show has now gone weekly, whereas it's been bi-weekly for 10 years. There's so much interest in this subject now of, okay, meat's getting expensive. Meat's more expensive than I've ever had to spend, meat before. What can I do to hedge my budget, to reduce my budget on meat? And so anyway, I kind of been on this journey of studying what's in our food supply for 23 years, and it's been an incredible journey. I must say, I've learned a lot, and I've applied a lot to me, and I feel I have more energy in my 60s than I had in my 40s. It just doesn't last as long. I have the energy, but it kind of cuts me off about halfway through the day. But regardless, every time you eat or drink, you're either feeding or fighting disease, and that's the truth. I think in our country, we've been taught that food is entertainment, and we should go to the store and just get the foods that make us feel the best and give us the most flavor, and we don't really look at food as how it was intended to be looked at by whoever your creator may be. Everybody has a different idea of where they came from. You either believe that you were made out of dirt or stone, or you came from the universe or whatever, wherever you came from. But our body needs X amount of nutrition, and that's what we're kind of getting in trouble with. So I'm not here to give you a bunch of bad news. I'm here to kind of make fun of what's going on and at the same time give you some information that will help you make better decisions when you go out to eat or go to the grocery store. Some people just don't realize simply that some things that they're eating, their favorite foods, might be doing them in. Women, natural beauty comes from within. Men, their natural strength comes from, not from eating that greasy burger and the sweat pouring off and the girls all going, ooh, he's so macho. To me, macho is a big burly dude eating a bunch of kale. Now I think that takes more courage than anything possibly a guy could do, But here's what's going on. You change your diet, you change your life. If you got disease, obesity, I'm here to tell you today, it's not your fault. I want everybody to quit beating them up if they have a little problem. If they got a little chunk in their trunk, got a little heart disease, got a little diabetes action going on, got a little Crohn's action going on, got anything going on at your young, sweet, tender ages. It's not because you've done anything wrong. It's just because you've been led down the road to eat everything that is set before you, and you don't even question about what's in that food before it goes into your body. So anyway, newspaper and TV, everywhere you go, you're reading something every day that the standard American diet is addictive, and this comes from the head of the FDA for the 2 administrations, Dr. David Kessler. agreed that sugar, fat, and salt hit your brain like crack cocaine. Where do you go when you get the blues? Where do you go when you feel upset and you're not feeling so good? You dive into the nastiest, snarkiest, most god-awful food. You know why? Because it makes you feel good. Your body creates dopamine, it opens up opiate pathways, and all of a sudden you're weak. And they've known this in the food industry now for over 80 years that this happens. So it's not that this is new news, it's new news to us, but they've known it for years. But it hits the brain like crack. We're having this is the most beautiful time in our culture. America's starting to wake up a little bit. I know you are, but everybody's starting to realize that maybe the food system's not as good as it used to be. So we're having our aha moment. This all comes from a book written by Dr. David Kessler, who is a Harvard-trained doctor, Harvard-trained lawyer. Now he headed the FDA for 8 years, and now he's in California, administrator of a hospital. I'd say a pretty credible dude. But he knew all this stuff. This is in his book called The End of Overeating. America said, okay, our food supply is marinated in all kinds of chemicals. Ergo, we're inflamed. This is something new. 70 to 80% of all human diseases, even for us young kids, so the old generation, are caused by what they call inflammation. Now we know what inflammation is out here. I'm inflamed, I can see it. But on your insides, there's a whole universe underneath your skin. Just trillions of activities and cells that are happening right outside your skin. But when you eat foods that were not designed by whoever your creator is, your manufacturer, when you eat these foods and they go into this beautiful chemistry set, your body, and they're not meant to go there, your body reacts in a negative way. What is this stuff? How do I get rid of it? How do I get it out of my system? And in the process, your body gets inflamed. Inflammation is soothed by cholesterol. It's not so much the eating the fatty meats that's causing your heart disease and your cholesterol to rise. It's eating a diet that's against your nature, that's causing inflammation in your body. Your liver secretes cholesterol's job is to soothe inflammation. So when you're highly inflamed, your body is being filled with cholesterol. So you go to your doctor and says, oh, you got to cut down to red meat and bacon. Well, obviously we eat way too much red meat and bacon in moderation in all things. But it's not necessarily because of just the meat singularly only. So just remember, inflammation. I have people, me for example, psoriasis is an autoimmune disease caused by inflammation. Any kind of autoimmune disease is caused by inflammation. So when I started following and eating a more anti-inflammatory diet, which means more fruits and vegetables, more and less of fried things and less wheat and things that were bothering me, I noticed that I've gotten rid of my psoriasis. I've been healing myself. If I stand up here and talk to you guys about it, I better know what I'm talking about, or I shouldn't be standing here. But I've seen it with people who maybe quit one little part of their diet. They go, oh, you know what? I'll give up one thing, one teeny weeny little thing. And it might be, dare I say, a soft drink, a fizzy soft drink. Now, it's not the ones that are going to hurt you. It's when you drink 6 or 7 a day, then that's the thing. But if you have high triglycerides, you might double check and make sure that it might be caused by soft drinks. I don't know it because people at IPL, for example, I go there every year, they come back to me and they'll say, hey, Wendell, I tried one thing you told me to do, and all I did was quit doing my soda pops. And do you know the next time I went to my doctor, my triglycerides went down to normal and they were in the 400s. I was in the danger zone, and all I did was stop one thing. Now that may have worked for him. It may not work for you, but just if you could just choose one teeny weeny little thing in your diet to get rid of and then replace it with something good, it's like a barge going down the river. All it takes is a teeny little bit of a direction change until eventually the course is drastically altered. So you don't even go home and make huge changes. Anyway, there's proof that the food we eat causes disease. Big food knows that their food is addictive. But food literacy, making better decisions, knowing how to read a label is outstanding. Food is medicine, because that father of medicine, Hippocrates, said that back in 400 BC. So if you want to control how you feel every day, you need to read labels. If it sounds like jet fuel, it probably is. Do you ever remember those mornings when you wake up and you just feel so good that everything's clicking and you feel like this will be a great day and everything's moving and you just want to get something done and find a project? You can feel like that more than not if you just make some better, like you don't start your day with sugar, for example, like a sugar pops or tops, and let Tony the Tiger be your nutritionist, but instead you start your day with a slice of Ezekiel bread and a smoothie, and you have this energy till noon that you just go, oh God, what happened to me? And you start feeling younger, and your skin starts looking better, and your complexion starts to glow. You'd be surprised. I've had women come up to me in tears of joy after eating this way, and I thought, oh, she's crying, I'm in trouble. Oh, no, come here, I gotta tell you something. My kids love me better. My husband treats me like a bride. My kids, well, we won't go there. My kids, all of a sudden, are starting to respect me anymore, and I'm the last one to notice it. Now it's only because I changed a few things about the way I ate. That's the only thing I've changed in my life. Isn't that something? When you stop blunting your gifts, your career skills, the gifts that you were born with, then they finally free themselves, and you become. I didn't know I could write, let alone hold down a TV show. I'm syndicated now on our columns, a small time, but it wouldn't have happened if I hadn't stopped blunting my career, my skills, by eating against my nature. So the minute I started eating better, all of a sudden, wow, I can write. Well, they like me on TV. Well, they want me back. So something must be right. I found out I was holding back my career skills by eating dead food, is what I call it. Food that has no life in it whatsoever. Food is medicine. Control how you feel. Deprogram our addiction to salt and flour and sugar. That is very hard to do. But we have stevia, we have honey, we have maple syrup, we have sea salt. There are so many alternatives. You just need to kind of go out there and did you know Morton salt has talcum powder in it, and to keep it from getting all clumpy? So I'm not sure I want talcum powder on my thing. So I go get sea salt from the grocery store and I buy it in a package. It's no big deal. Plus sea salt has vitamins and trace minerals. Anybody a big jock here and you sweat and work out a lot? Well, if you do, you're getting rid of, your body needs 90 trace minerals a day and 40 basic vitamins. When you sweat and work out real hard, you're sweating out all your trace minerals. I was consulting with a lady the other day, couldn't figure out, I eat healthy, I do this, I did, and I'm so tired. All I did was tell her to go to the store, buy these little trace minerals and take 8 little drops a day. Within 4 days, this woman's energy level was back up. She was back to normal. She was classic mineral deficient. And I started taking it too, and I started realizing my energy levels started to increase too. So basically, disease is caused by a lack of nutrition. Our tiredness, our lack of career skills is caused by poor nutrition. So we need to deprogram stevia, but you know what? There's some people who don't want to change, and I understand that, and I love them just as much as I love anybody else, because if someone doesn't want to change, nothing in the world is going to make you change them. You're just going to alienate yourself from them. At that point, if it's a loved one, throw the white towel in and love them with all your heart, because there's nothing you can do that's going to change them. And love yourself at the same time, because eating well is a form of self-love. So when you eat well, you're feeding your body, you're feeding your cells what it needs to become the best you can possibly be while you're on this planet. So just don't bug them, just love them, let them do what they do. But if you can achieve your potential, maximize career skills, and become closer to your Creator. So the big picture is, health's our birthright. We were created for perfection. Health is the absence of disease. Pretty much makes sense. Disease is most often caused by a lack of nutrition, dead and bar-coded food. This is Mayor Mike Bloomfield. For the first time in America in history, more people will die from overeating in America than from starvation. You know, there's a famine going on in Somalia right now, and people don't have 2 pieces of rice to rub together, and yet we have shows dedicated to gluttony in America. So we've kind of gotten off base a little bit. So if we can find at least happy ground in the middle, that would be good. So we've departed from the road of nutritional righteousness into what I call machine cuisine, industrial cuisine. Anything that comes out of a machine or a factory assembly line cannot have anything in it that's good, because when you process something, you process the universal energy right out of it and turn it into nothingness. But it makes some people lots of money, like, well, my TV show the other day, I got away with calling it Craft Foods instead of Craft Food, because most of their stuff is just terrible. I mean, I held Pop-Tarts up one day on the screen, and I thought my producer's just going to die when I say this, but I'm going to do it anyway. I said, "You all like Pop-Tarts, Mom and Dad?" I looked at the screen and said, "No, I'm seeing a lot. imagining a lot of heads shaking. Yeah, they're probably eating a Pop-Tart now. I go, well, let me tell you something. There's nothing in these things. They're a form of child abuse. If you give these things to your kid, it's child abuse. And I hear my dad going, oh, we're gonna get calls on this one, you know. But you know, I said this would be like smoking 2 cigarettes in the car and throwing your kids in the car and locking the doors and not let them inhale 2 hours worth of secondhand smoke. Why would we want to give this to our children and let alone ourselves? So, you know, I call them poop tarts very fondly. So, and I drove a knife into the box too, and I got away with it. So, people are only, you know, it's only because people haven't stood up and said anything as ballsy as I do on TV about stuff like this. You know, if someone doesn't stand up and scream the truth from the top of the mountain, then we're going to continue to get sicker. We're the 49th unhealthiest state on the planet. We're the 3rd almost obese. I mean, Indiana is consistent. We trend way above the average on obesity and heart disease and diabetes. And it's only because we're traditional. We don't like things to change. We want things to stay just the way they are. Thank you. Don't move my cheese. But if we don't move forward, then we can't advance. People say, Wendell, do you want to live to be 100 really? And I go, no, that's not the point. The point is, I want to release all my skills and my gifts that I was given by my Creator now, this very minute, not 10 years from now. And you can achieve that, I've proven it with myself, by eating in accordance with your design, feeding your cells, where literally everything happens. Everything happens on a cellular level. But we have TV shows, you know, glorifying gluttony. But yeah, I've heard of very obese people going to the doctor, having a blood draw, having their numbers analyzed, and it comes out that these people are suffering malnutrition, yet they're morbidly obese. And we wonder why the rest of the world snickers and wonders what's wrong with us. We have shows, like I said, dedicated to gluttony. But it's only because the food we eat has been processed so much that there's no nutrition in it. We're not even getting the very basic vitamins that we need every day, let alone the trace minerals. You cannot get trace minerals from the standard American diet. It's impossible. You have to eat so much food. So we need a little help. So you go to the vitamin store and you buy this little vial and you put 8 little drops in your water every morning, and within 2 or 3 days you'll start feeling your body respond. Your cells are going, oh, okay, now you've given me the fuel I need to operate on. I'm going to get that deal done quicker. I'm going to hit my deadlines. I'm going to make that sale. That's the beauty of it. But here's something, we're vegophobic, basically, operating on a damaged system. We're undernourished and less than whole. We live in a vegophobic society where, and this is from Wendell Berry, one of my favorite writers, people are fed by big food, which pays absolutely no attention to human health, and we're treated by the healthcare industry, which pays absolutely no attention to the preventive majesty of real living food. We mess with our food. We got scientists that put on chef's coats and dance around like madmen going, I just created fake strawberry flavoring. We're going to make millions. Well, what about the real strawberry flavoring with vitamin C and all the nutrition in it that we need? So the less you do to the food, the more it does for you. I like this, and it kind of reminds me of the office I used to work in, but you know, I think it pretty much speaks for itself. You know, there was a bacon restaurant that just recently got closed down. And then there was a heart attack restaurant down in Florida. Did you hear about that? Where they serve hamburgers with just, I mean, if you want a heart attack, you're going to get one. And I guess they've had 2 heart attacks with people who were eating there. Not good PR, I wouldn't say. Come to our place. Now, I think we've got these guys on the ropes. I hope everybody understands this now. When you read a label and it says partially hydrogenated, any kind of oil, canola, olive oil, anytime that word hydrogenation enters the picture, run, flee, put it down. It's been proven without a doubt to cause heart disease. It's been banned in 3 states. Well, New York and Illinois. I should update that. There's one more. But they're in everything. They're even in Girl Scout cookies. But you know, when you read your labels, make sure you look for these terms. Cottonseed oil. Oh, you may as well drink WD-40. That's the dirtiest, filthiest oil that you put inside. Your body is a sacred temple. You're beautiful. You've got everything going for you. Why would you want to put cottonseed oil? Has the most chemicals, runoff, just the nastiest thing you can, and filth, just filth. But it's the cheapest oil for industry to use in the production of our processed foods that we buy. So just make sure when you see that, you run away as fast as you can. They do extend shelf life, They hold in the fat, but they contribute to heart disease and nutritional deficiencies and the degradation of cellular health, and that's where everything's happened. There's trillions of cells inside you right now. And just as like there's trillions of microbes on your body right now, there's also trillions of microbes in your body that are like probiotic. You know what yogurt is? Well, those are the good bacteria. But I'd say 90% of the people in here are deficient in good bacteria, and your GI tract is contingent on its health. If your GI tract from point A to point B is in good health, you're not going to get sick. They say your GI tract is the source of your health. But we have these things like olive oil, walnut oil, flax oil, chia, krill. I wrote a story the other day and my editor said, now let me get this straight. This is the chia that we get around Christmas time? And it is. But it's something they've discovered that has about 4 or 5 times the omega-3 essential fatty acids that you could get from fish oil caps, okay? And it has about twice to 3 times as much fiber in it that flaxseed does. Now, flaxseed's always been my thing. I don't know, does anybody ever, and I'm not going to assume anybody does, anybody ever watch my show on Channel 8 on Saturday morning? Okay, you're not going to break my heart. You're asleep, it's at 7:45, I don't blame you. But I always have a bag of flaxseed, and I keep it on, it's kind of a joke. We have what we call the fiber belt. So every time I mention the word fiber, someone aggressively rings the bell, and they have for 10 years. It's just been shtick. Because I'll put the stuff on my food. I have people come over to my house, hey Wendell, let's have dinner at your house. Come on, we want you to cook one of our dinners, or one of your dinners. I'm a vegetarian. And so they'll come over and we'll have this nice meal and, you know, have a nice evening. And of course you get the nice phone call the next day from people saying, oh, what a lovely meal, thank you, your hospitality was lovely, yada, yada, yada. But I have to ask you a question. I'm on, yeah. And they'll ask me, well, what was good? Was there something specific in that food that we weren't aware of? And I go, what? And he'll go, well, things came out of me this morning I think I ate when I was 6 years old. They were so deficient in fiber. So they say the average person, now that everybody's finished eating, almost, when people have this large, distended stomach, and we see that's what we notice a lot about Hoosiers when they, you know, we seem to have this protuberance. It can be caused by wheat gluten, but a lot of it is caused by our body has not gotten enough fiber in it that food starts to back up. So there's probably 4 or 5 meals that are sitting inside your stomach waiting to go their merry way. Okay, now I want you to think about this. If I took a piece of steak and a potato and a piece of pie and a garden salad and I put a little glass dome over it like a pie lid, cake covering like that, walked away and put it in a 98.6 environment, and I come back 3 days later, because that's how long the food stays in your system, and I were to lift the lid off that thing, I don't think I need to mention what it's going to be like. It's going to be starting to break down, biodegrade, ferment, create gas, rot. So the sooner you get food out of your system, the less toxic you are. So this is why I get flaxseed at the grocery store. It's very cheap. I grind it in my little coffee grinder, or get some chia seeds. Grind them in your coffee grinder, you know, and you sprinkle it on. I give it to the dogs. I sprinkle on food, put it in my smoothies. It goes. You don't see it. You don't taste it. If I don't get a chance to put it on something, I'll just take a couple tablespoons and chase it with water. Just the mere gravity of getting up in the morning is really all you need. Okay, so it's just, you just need to keep food moving in and out of your GI tract. Okay, this is like that's plumbing, and your plumbing occasionally needs to be roto-rooter, and that's what flax is. So trying to get some more flax in your body. I'm not trying to say this nicely as I can. Roto-rooter. All right, but anyway, I've gotten off the track, my own track here. But America's birthright of health can be restored. We just got to say goodbye to industrial cuisine. Be a label reader, and you will bloom and grow into what you were intended to be. I've seen career skills just flourish when people start eating. And we know we've pretty much beaten these guys up. They've tried to have me fired from 4 papers that I write for. I've seen the letters. You need to fire this man. High fructose corn syrup is certainly a good food to eat now. Well, we know that's not true. We know it's a big bold lie. But we know that it plays a major role in the epidemic of obesity. especially in children, and they're the ones that get marketed to us. So if you have kids, make sure you pick up their labels and see what they're eating. And if it says high fructose corn syrup, yeah, sugar is pretty bad, but I'd rather you eat sugar than high fructose corn syrup because they've proven that it's linked to liver cancer, it can scar your pancreas, tissue and heart disease, diabetes in children, and they've discovered recently that high fructose corn syrup contains mercury. Oh boy, I'm all excited about that. I mean, it's just terrible. We know what, and these are the sources: National Institute for Health, WebMD, Mayo, Harvard, Cleveland, American Cancer Research Center, all telling us the truth. Now look, no one's perfect. You're not going to run out of here today and go, hallelujah, I've been changed. It's not going to happen that way. You're going to make, if you decide to go down this road, make one, again, I repeat, one change at a time and get used to it. Make it part of your life, and then go on and make another change. If you got a partner, a husband, a wife, a boyfriend, or a friend, or whatever, have them do the journey with you. It's more fun when you got somebody who catches you before you fall, or someone who encourages you, or when you're weak, like an alcoholic, and you call up a friend and they talk you out of having that drink. You know, it's the same kind of thing. So, but anyway, it's in everything. Soda, breakfast foods, and it's cheaper than air and water to use in an industrial environment for producing food. That's why we have so many corn subsidies. If they quit subsidizing corn, we wouldn't have so much corn. It's in dog food. It's what makes your dashboard on your car. It's in cat food. The corn is everywhere. It's just, they feed it back to cows. But like all the KFC, all the main people use it. And then Mountain Dew, I call that the devil's brew. The owner of PepsiCo, the president of PepsiCo, which is what they own Kraft, I mean, they're huge, was interviewed 6 months ago because someone tried to blame PepsiCo because they found a mouse inside a can of Mountain Dew. Well, we all heard this before, you know, it's nothing new. So, I couldn't believe it. This lady, and she's Indian, she stood up and she was very proud to say, you know, we would never, we serve a healthy product. And anyway, that mouse would have dissolved within a week if it was in that can. I'm going, whoa! Did everybody else hear what please, someone else hear what she just said? She just admitted that a can of Mountain Dew can totally dissolve a mouse within a week. Yum, yum. And I live in Fountain Square. Yeah.
Mountain Dew is a different type of acid, but has more acid than a car battery.
Oh yeah, thank you. Did you hear that? Mountain Dew has more acid in it than a car battery. It probably comes about a 2-point pH, I bet you. Yeah. Isn't that something? And when our bodies get acidic, we're putting out the welcome mat for cancer. Now we can't get into a big thing, but when your body is alkaline, it's an inhospitable host for disease. When your body is acidic from eating sugar and dead food and all this stuff, then it's just, you're putting out the welcome. Come on, cancer, come on. Everybody has a cancer cell in them. It's inescapable. But do you feed the cancer or do you starve the cancer? Do you eat foods that are antioxidant, that suppress the activity of a cancer? Do we eat beets that stop cancer from growing? Did you know this? Beets actually stop cancer cells from growing. And I drink a beet in my smoothie every day. Big, bright, red smoothie, I drink it, and I'm of course, I'm one of these guys, I'm a little obsessive about it. But anyway, I have to be. But anyway, Mountain Dew, we want to stay away from things like that. And it's not from our green garden anyway. Whoa, hey, look at there, that's way. But, you know, the USD frequently, I'm not telling you to go out and stop eating meat, okay? That's not the point here. The point is, go to a farmer's market and get the meat from a farmer who raised the cow in the way that the cow should have been raised. And now the factory farms, you've heard this big stuff about Indiana where they don't let cameras into the factory farms anymore. They don't want you to see that they grind up other cows and put them back in the feed and feed them back to cows again. Cows are vegetarian. They were designed by creation to eat grass. And yet we're feeding them byproducts of all sorts of industries. And then the fish farms where you get your Atlantic salmon, they're feeding byproducts from the beef industry into the fish. So the fish aren't eating anything. So if you want omega-3 from Atlantic salmon from the grocery store, you're not going to get it. They have to give those fish orange pills for their flesh to get orange because they eat such a nasty diet, not a diet they would eat in the sea. So when you're trying to get the healthy virtues of Atlantic salmon, you're not getting it unless you buy fresh caught. And of course, who wants to spend $19 a pound for fresh caught salmon these days? Because that's kind of what it costs. So anyway, USD is always warning us there's something in our ground beef, and then thousands of people perish. But did you know that in 1 little pound of grocery store ground beef lies the potential of 100 different cows? Because they all come into these trucks, back and everything, poured in these big augers, they grind it up. So meat from all sorts of places gets mixed and everything, so you don't know what's in your hamburger meat. So believe me, you eat it, I will cook it for you. Make sure you cook it to an internal temperature of 165 degrees. It's a good investment to get a meat thermometer. Okay, just make sure it's a meat thermometer. Okay, there's a big difference between some of them. But now preserved with carbon monoxide. I went to the grocery store the other day, picked up the sushi and saw it was preserved with carbon monoxide. And I thought, oh my gosh. And I pointed it out to a few people and I got 2 reactions. I said, hi, I'm Chef Wendell from Channel 8, blah, blah, blah. What do you think about this? One person was saying, oh, I'm shocked. How could they possibly? Oh, and they put it right down and walked away. And the other guy goes, what the heck? You got to die from something. And I thought, you're going to get 1 or 2 reactions. People who just don't care, don't want to believe it, and they're going to eat it regardless. And that's usually the young kids, because they figure, what the heck? I got 60 more years of life. I'll deal with this later. We're setting the foundation now for what's going to be like. You know, when we're 50 or 60, you're putting the foundation together right now. So anyway, and then the internal, and you know about the rare and charred hamburgers. Obviously rare, we want to kill the pathogens. But it doesn't mean stop eating hamburgers. It means put your grill up a little higher. They say that the flame, meaning the protein of the meat, that char, is a very carcinogenic material. So it doesn't mean stop eating them. It just means turn your fire down, raise your grill, and cook them a little slower. Actually, your hamburger will come out more tender and juicy if you slow down the cooking process. So keep eating your hamburger, but just don't char it. And you know, high meat consumption, and this is National Cancer Institute, talks about its links to cancer. Now again, it doesn't mean stop eating meat. It means go to the local farmer's market, meet the farmer, buy meat from him, and just don't eat meat, 3 squares a day. That's all. We're not meant to eat that much meat. We're encouraged to eat that much meat by the advertisers, of course. But meat props up the American diet. If we didn't have our beef industry, our economy would tank. But today, vegetarian cows, which they are by nature, they're fed corn and other cows, so get it in bulk, and there's my macho mini kale comment. But I couldn't resist this. I saw this online the other day, and I'd never seen this before. I didn't want to say too much about it, because people looked at me when I was totally mad when I said that they used carbon monoxide. But but you know what carbon monoxide does? If you want to kill yourself, what do? You run a hose from your gas pipe into your car, and the carbon monoxide comes in, removes all the oxygen from the room you're in. So therefore, you suffocate, and there's no oxygen. So obviously, if you can prevent the meat from touching oxygen, then it's going to stay rare. But the whole idea, I guess, is carbon monoxide. I mean, if I ate that, would I feel exhausted? Sorry. Good. Oh, my grandkids love this. Nothing's the way it seems in life, obviously. Everything is an illusion, but only 20% of it is chicken. It's mostly corn. There's that corn again, and seaweed fillers. And they're made, I saw this in Time magazine, made from exhausted, retired egg layers. There's your future, chicken. And then that delicious TBHQ, which is a petroleum product that they spray the interior of the box to help preserve freshness. However, it's also an ingredient in butane that's in your lighters. Tasty. And it has glutamate, MSG, which causes tachycardia. It's made from tendons, cartilage, tissue. This you can see this online from very credible sources. It's not wild stuff. This is pretty much what's awful. I think awful is so appropriate. Awful parts. That and the word a doctor has a practice. That one always bothers me. I thought he would have known everything by then. But anyway, anti-foam wheat starch, gluten's in there too. So many people are gluten intolerant. There's a guy down at City Market who's French fries, and he does this and everything. And I've been in the food business. Anybody been here long enough in the food business to know that you change a deep fat fryer frequently? You don't just wait a week and change it, or a month. Otherwise, foam and everything you cooked in it would take on the flavor of whatever was previously cooked in it. Well, now they take little silicone pellets and put in the fat of the fryer, which cleans it out, and you just scoop the stuff up, and you can still use the same fat in your fryer indefinitely. He hadn't changed his fat in 6 months. And I'm like, I'm not eating at your place, because I try not to eat fried foods. But there it is. I'm not even begin to pronounce it, but it causes tumors and negatively affects human reproduction. Also in Chicken McNuggets, it's a silicone used in chalk, sealants, and it's a filler for breast implants. So, nice thing to do. And this is another thing I thought, one of the ingredients is one of the key ingredients of silly putty. Tasty, tasty. So your body's your buddy. It requires food from, I call it the celestial apothecary, not some kind of machine cuisine that, Chicken McNuggets, I've seen people just pop them up like hungry pythons in a bunny cage. And I go, oh my God, if you only knew what was in them. Did you see the little girl who was 6 or 7 years old, had lived on a diet of nothing more than Chicken McNuggets since she was born, and she was at school the other day and she just passed out. They didn't know what was wrong with her. I would say it's malnutrition, and she was probably poisoned. MSG has been something that we've had in our diet for many, many years, but we just don't think about it. There's the Chinese restaurant syndrome. Guy going to a Chinese restaurant, and every time he eat the food, he'd run a tachycardia and thought he was having a heart attack and a panic attack. And all it was MSG, which is a excitotoxin, as is aspartame or NutraSweet that you eat every day in your gum. There's not one gum on the market that does not have aspartame in it. It's a neurotoxin. It dumbs you down. It keeps your brain from growing. Why it's in our food, I don't know. It could be because a couple people who sat on the board of the company who created it also work for our government. I think maybe that has something to do with it. But it makes us stupid. It can cause a nerve damage, obesity, brain damage, rapid heartbeat. But there it is. There's a list of all the places you can possibly find this stuff. So it's ubiquitous. It's in everything you see and touch and feel. This is why reading labels, it might take an extra 15 minutes when you shop, but when you start reading labels and go, ooh, wow, I don't even understand half the stuff that's on here. How am I going to? So I think if you can't pronounce it and it sounds like the ingredients of jet fuel, flee, run. But sodium nitrate is another thing. And guys, I'm sorry, but I don't understand this fascination with bacon. We love our bacon. What is it about our bacon? I don't know what it is. You think it's the salt? I'm not sure what it is, but I have people coming up to me and they know I'm a vegetarian, and they'll take a piece of bacon and go, hey, Wendell, see, you like it? And they wave it in front of me. Don't you want bacon, bacon? I think we deitize it. I think we worship it. I think we just bow down. But I don't. They've had bacon cologne now. I take a little bacon grease, and women put it under your. Go to a bar. I guarantee you'll be surrounded by men. It's just like chocolate. If you rub chocolate all over your body. But yeah, that and ranch dressing. Little ranch dressing here in the middle. Men will be all around you. But look, it's in ham, bacon, hot dogs, bologna, salami, jerky, smoked salmon, all the things that we hold dear. This really surprised me right here. This came from the National Cancer Research Center. Just 12 hot dogs a month contain sodium nitrate. Increases a child's chance of leukemia 9 times. And this came from one of the most prestigious cancer research centers in America. It seems to me that would be enough motivation to at least back off on my bacon. Now, if the bacon was farmer's market bought and they just cooked it and did it themselves and didn't pour all the nitrates on it, eat it. Eat it. Just don't eat a pound of it a day like Elvis Presley did, because what, he died on the toilet of a heart attack? Not a very glamorous demise. But just make sure it doesn't have all the snark in it. Get the snark out of it. Get the snark out of your diet. You need to go out there and read labels and just get downright ticked off and say, what's happening now is people aren't buying certain products, and the craft foods, for example, is starting to feel the pinch of the lack of sales in a certain product, so they're starting to react. So it's how you react. It's if you demand a healthier food product, or maybe you don't care. I understand that, but it's your voice, your dollar makes the difference. It's not going out and screaming on Facebook like I do. If you want to go to, oh, you've been to my page. Well, my page is Wendell Fowler at Facebook, by the way. I tried being a writer. you're put into this circle of writers that, food writers. You make a list called the bacon list. Ironically, I just realized that. It's called the bacon list. But it means that you're going to be sent lots of information about what's going on in the food business earlier than other people might get it. So that's where I get all this information from. And sometimes I just do not know it. Oh, again, something else. It's like I found out the other day that there's a chemical in white flour that's created through the process of making white flour. It creates a thing called alloxin, a chemical called alloxin. Ironically, alloxin is the same chemical the diabetes researchers inject into laboratory animals to give them diabetes so they can do research on the lab animals. So do you see what kind of a mess it is? So obviously I think we've all evolved beyond white bread, at least I hope we have. You know, I mean, I know it tastes good, but I've evolved personally, and I'm not saying everybody should do this. My wife and I did an experiment and we stopped eating wheat. It was glorious. My wife's little poochy belly. There's a book out called Wheat Belly right now. And it talks about how women are losing this belly within weeks of the time that they stop eating whole wheat. And that means wheat gluten too. So wheat gluten is an ingredient in a lot of things. So if you see wheat gluten is synonymous with wheat. I like Ezekiel bread. Anybody ever hear of it? Grocery store, big bright orange wrapper. It's usually in the frozen section. They sell so much of it at Trader Joe's. It's supposed to be kept frozen, but they just come in, dump it. By the end of the day, they'll sell 100 loaves a day. Gone in a heartbeat. But it's very little whole wheat, but it's made with sprouted grains. And it's got wheat flour, bean flour, and it's wonderful. People, I can sneak it in my grandkids, and they don't even know it if I don't make a big stink about it. It's when you point it out, hey kids, this is healthy. Oh, see you, Grandpa. They've gotten pretty hip. It's funny, a couple of my grandkids used to just, oh, Grandpa's going to try to poison me with tofu. Busted. Because I used to try to sneak it into everything and see if they could tell. But it's funny, the same kids now, one's in college, graduated, and now they're all like coming to Grandpa for more information. I thought, this is what it's all about, is just planting the seed, and maybe down the road they'll come to you and realize what you're trying to tell them was right. And there are a whole group, though, of 20-somethings in America today who've gotten it. And they're starting to realize that they can make a difference. Because then there's people like me, the old dinosaurs who've been around preaching this message for years. It's nice to know that there's younger kids coming on who are going to keep preaching this message. Because we deserve health. We deserve to feel good every day. We deserve our natural beauty to come out so we don't have to open up the spackle and fill up the crack, so to speak. And the natural beauty comes out. And that can only happen that when you eat from nature. I call the celestial apothecary. But sodium nitrate can cause respiratory distress, abdominal pain, irregular breathing. So if you've ever had any symptoms, you might think just 1 to 2 grams, and that's not a lot. That's very small. It can be lethal. So you'll live, I guarantee it, you can live without your bacon. Now if I'm making bean soup at home, and I like to make a white bean soup, but you miss that ham in there. And you got some nice cornbread. There's corn again, geez. But now instead of putting a big chunk of ham inside my ham and beans, I use liquid smoke. And I don't make a big deal about it. People eat it. They assume there's ham in it because it tastes hammy. And no one says a word. And we've pulled it off. That's what you call being lovingly sneaky. Those are the white lies that are okay to tell.
What's in liquid smoke?
You get it mostly.
I have it. I've never read the label to see what's in it.
I used to think that a house burned down and they took all the wood and boiled it and made no. But because that's what it tastes like. I don't know. I think it really is extracted from the burning of hickory and woods like that. They're safe. I've had them checked out. And now if it says it's got sodium, this, that, or the other in it, or some kind of preservative, I would put it back down. It's like lemon juice. You see, it always says sodium bisulfate in it, which is another excitotoxin that gets you all worked up. But it keeps that lemon juice fresh on the shelf, but it doesn't do anything for you. And now that we're hearing so much about how lemon juice helps cleanse your body of toxins. Somebody mentioned turmeric. I think Kim was mentioning turmeric earlier. Anybody hear the word turmeric before? Mm-hmm. That yellow spice? It's what makes curries yellow. It's what Americans use. In New England, they used to put a certain degree of turmeric in each farmer's cheese so they could tell the difference in whose cheddar was whose. And so each one was a different color. We use it to color mustard. But see, in America, we don't use it for what it's used for primarily. Now, in India, they barely know what the term Alzheimer's is because they eat every day curry, and in that curry is ginger and turmeric. Now, ginger and turmeric are the two most powerful anti-inflammatories. Now, we talked about inflammation before, okay? So, I never got such a response on my TV show as I did one morning when I made a beverage. And here's the beverage. You're going to write this down and try it. I guarantee you it will benefit you, and you will, maybe next time you see me in the street, thank me, and I hope. Now, you take fresh ginger. You've seen it. It looks gangly. It's not very pretty. Now, when I say turmeric, I'm not talking about McCormick's or Durkee or the cooking kind. Go to a health food store. It's 62 cents an ounce at Georgetown. It's not very expensive. And scoop some up bulk and put it in a bag and take it home with you. Okay? So every day when my wife comes home, I'm a very lucky wife. I'm lucky to have her. But anyway, I will get the food processor, my Cuisinart, and I will take a half of a lemon and 1 inch of ginger, and I'll put it in my Cuisinart, and I'll turn it on and turn it into pulp. Then I scoop it all out, and now I have a coffee press, an old French press. I don't care what, if you want to use a big mug, but you want to split it amongst 2 people, you might want to put it in something different. But anyway, I use a French press. And I put all that gunk in the bottom, and I put 1 teaspoon of turmeric in there, half a teaspoon of cayenne pepper, and then a tablespoon of honey, raw honey, if you can get raw honey from a local farmer. Now, then you take your boiling hot water and you put it over this thing and you push it away and you just let it sit for 10 minutes and let it steep. In that time, it's going to release the oils from the ginger, and the turmeric's going to get active and all that. Now, turmeric stains. It's bright yellow, so if you get it in your clothes, be careful, it'll stain. So anyway, you start drinking this stuff. Well, first of what it does, it flushes your liver out of all kinds of toxins. If you've taken pharmaceutical drugs, or you've been on medication all your life, or you simply just, your liver and your kidneys are the cleansing agents that keep your body and your blood clean, right? So by taking this beverage, you're doing lots of different things. But first of all, you're purging your liver and your kidneys of all the toxins. The second thing is you're blowing out and pouring cold water on the fires of inflammation. And I can't tell you, I got 1,000 response. That's unheard of on my I keep track on my website of how many people hit after the show to get the recipe. I never had so many hits on that one thing. If you can start doing this, start maybe every other night and start drinking this, you'll notice that your urine will have a stronger smell at the very beginning because your body's flushing all this stuff that lives in your body, all the chemicals that accrue. If you eat a fish that lives in a dirty water, when you eat the fat of that fish, you're eating whatever chemicals that fish absorbed by being in the water. We're the same way. When we absorb the chlorine from a swimming pool we're in, or the sand that we put, everything that we put on our body absorbs in 29 seconds. Did you know that? The body sucks it in. Where does it store it? It stores it right in your fat tissue. So whenever you eat a fatty fish, you're eating all the chemicals. And so when you lose weight, and you lose a lot of weight, you might get sick at first because your body is getting rid of all that fat that's in your system, but your body has to process it too. It has to go through the whole process of being broken down, digested. So that's when you get sick, because you're having to reprocess these toxins all over again. But we can't help it. All you have to do is just wake up and breathe the air. So it's not anything you're doing. You're not going out there and making yourself toxic by a choice. I mean, we know that. Oh, we've heard about this. Now we know we busted them. They're up against the wall. They're in jail. They're gone. Matter of fact, this company tried to sue CBS for putting them out of business. And that took courage. But have you heard of this before? The big thing is, it's in hamburgers, hot dogs, deli meats. It's called pink slime. And look what it is. It's just the beef trimmings from whatever they've got left over they can't sell. And they consider it a food additive. They have the ground beef, processed meats, cheap filler, beef scraps, sinew, connective tissue. I mean, you can read right there. They turn it into a protein paste. Then they treat the meat with ammonia. To kill all this other stuff. And then they finally grinding and press it in blocks, flash freeze it, and they add it to things like Arby's. I don't know, my grandma and grandpa would just totally freak out. Arby's is nothing more than a bunch of pieces of meat that were byproducts, chopped up, put back together, shaped and formed, and held together with meat glue. That's what Arby's is, folks. It's not real roast beef. It's feel-good food because it has all the chemicals in it that make you feel good. They don't even hide it anymore. Think how many times you hear the word crave. You'll have to have this. You think about the commercials. They always use these addictive terms. This is like legal drug selling. I don't know how they get away with it. Oh, anyway, but it's there, folks. It's happening. It's all over the place. So just be aware of it. That's all you got to do. But the bottom line is, love and respect yourself. And food is the way that you love and respect you. You're beautiful and you're worthy. Because after a while, after you start eating healthy, it feels so good. You feel so different. I can't even begin to tell you how much better you feel. But you'll start insisting on scratch cooking food. That's somebody a while ago said they hadn't been into a kitchen for so long. I can't remember who it was, but said, I haven't cooked in so long. And said, this is the closest thing I was to cooking. She was putting fettuccine or feta cheese on my salad. Bless her heart, it was so cute. But we need to learn how to cook, not assemble. You can go to the grocery store now and buy a bag of this, a bag of this, and a bag of this, and come home and throw it all together and have. That's not cooking. That's assembling. So once we know what's in the food, we cook. We know what's in it. We feel safer about eating it. Anyway, your temple will flourish, natural beauty will release. You'll stop blunting your mental growth, become who you truly are. You'll be able to handle stress a whole lot better. When you handle stress each day, food it can be stressful to your body. You know that. If you're hitting a deadline, you're drinking a Mountain Dew or a Red Bull, you're just throwing gas on the fire. You need to sit for a second. And I'm going to wrap this up in a second, but we'll do something at the very end. I'm going to show you something. But you're going to achieve your potential. Your self-esteem soars. That's the first thing I hear about people. They like themselves better. They feel better about themselves. They look in the mirror and see a different person than they've ever seen before. You become better parents, friends, natural energy, beauty, renewed health, and a joy for life by consuming all these living foods. A refreshed compassion and kindness and tenderness will take place. I've heard this from people. This is where I get this information. This is what I hear from people when they come back to me. Reduce medical costs. Well, that's a no-brainer. Reduce on-the-job injuries. Bye-bye brain frog, and stress. And that helps you at work, too. Hello to a higher quality of life and ultimately strengthen a great nation. For I've heard from folks, these are some of the quotes. They say, Wendell, I've discovered food should be celebrated instead of being feared. They feared food for so many years. They say occasionally, out of the clear blue, they'll experience spontaneous outbursts of joy and bliss because they feel so good. See, unless you know what it feels like, you can't relate to this. But once you start eating a little bit cleaner, things happen to you. Your body has an intelligence in it that responds appropriately to whatever you put in it, and it rewards you. You can develop. I've had many people come up. Everybody's going through a spiritual change. People, I write a faith column. People are really starting to look to their higher source and try to figure things out. I've had people come up and say, and I personally have experienced a closer relationship with my Creator by keeping my body in the shape and respect. It's a temple. Every religion on the planet refers to the body as a holy temple. I don't care whether you're Buddhist, Catholic, Christian, Puritan, Methodist, Lutheran. Everybody refers to it as the same. So it's a temple that deserves respect. But, a happy healthcare cost, we already went over that. And a happy, well-fed cell and an employee is a productive cell and employee. Health is your natural, achievable state. We all have it within our grasp. And I'm just here to tell you that it works. And no major changes need to be made, just one at a time. Now, what you had today was quinoa, which has just as much protein in it per ounce as steak does, except it's a seed and it doesn't have all the saturated fats and nasty things in it. All the vegetables in it were raw, so you're still getting the raw energy from the plant before it gets processed, killed, and cooked to death. Every place I go, I order vegetables. They cook them to oblivion. Well, when 106 degrees, the enzymes start to break down. At 117 degrees, vitamin C starts to break down. So the more we cook our vegetables, the less nutrition there is in them for us. So the less we do to food, the more it does for us. I teach a class in rawism, and let me tell you, That's a stretch for some people to accept, but once they get in the class and start tasting the food, and then they come back to the classes week after week after week, and you can see actually in that shorter period of time, the difference in their face and their features and their attitude. It's hard, it's an adjustment, but if you plan ahead a little bit and try to eat more of your foods raw-er. Like if you want, I would eat asparagus raw. A lot of people would be reviled by that. But what I do now is I'll just get the water boiling, throw my asparagus in there for 30 seconds, that's it. Pull it right out, hit it in some cold water, stop the cooking. It'll just be soft enough, it'll make it palatable for you. Broccoli the same way. If you don't want to eat it raw, just hit it for a second, pull it right out, and then hit it in that Bain Marie. It's called shocking. It just stops the cooking and keeps the color there. I have a smoothie every morning. Everybody says, what do you start your day with? I have a slice of Ezekiel bread, and I get my blender out. There's always a smoothie going in our house. And our smoothie, carrot, strawberries, blueberries, half a beet, 3 leaves of kale, and then I cover it with, there's a sugar-free cranberry juice out there that I cover it up with, and I turn it on, I just whip the dickens out of it and just walk away, do a few things, and my wife says, you don't do nothing on. Well, you got to keep it on long enough because it'll break everything down and you'll be drinking your vegetables. Well, how many people would sit down and eat what I just told you at one setting? You normally wouldn't eat that kind of stuff, would you? But if you put it in a drinkable form, add a little stevia powder to it, add a little honey to it, sweeten it up. No dairy. The word dairy got involved in smoothies. I'll never know. It's the worst thing you could do to put into a smoothie is put dairy. But anyway, you start drinking this in the morning and your body it goes straight to your cells. It's like juicing. Your cells instantly know what to do with that food. They ship it out to all parts of your body, and your body's ready to go for that day, and you have energy, and you're not really hungry till about noon. You don't want a snack. Because what do you do in the morning? You eat a piece of sugary breakfast, and by 10 o'clock in the morning, you're falling asleep, right? Because your body's metabolism. See, it's like a drug. You're zooming, and then you're crashing, burning. So that's why you don't want to start with sugar in the morning. You want to start with some oatmeal or some grain bread and the natural sugar, because you just had an 8-hour fast. You didn't eat for 8 hours, so your glucose levels are very low. So the first thing in the morning you should do is have a piece of fruit or a smoothie and drink a big glass of tepid water, and that starts the detoxifying process of your body happening right there. So it's amazing what your body intelligence can do if you just give it the tools that they need, and you'll feel great every day. You'll come into work and you'll start finding out you're getting your work done before everybody else, and you're moving up that ladder, and people will be saying, woo, you lost some weight, huh? You're looking good. And that's what we all like to hear. And then yourself, I mean, it's good for everybody. And in the bad times and crazy times and a tumultuous world, sometimes it's good just to forget about everything and just focus on yourself, because you're the only thing that matters, you know. Love yourself, feed yourself properly, and you'll bloom and grow. Well, I would love to answer some questions. Usually some of the best questions get asked. Does anybody have any questions here? Oh, please.
You mentioned the book Wheat Belly. Do you know who the author is?
The Wheat Belly?
Yeah.
Just Google Wheat Belly, boom.
Okay.
Because there's only one book named like that, and you probably get it on Amazon used and have it shipped to you in a heartbeat. As a vast majority of the country doesn't realize they have celiac disease, and because there's no drug for it yet, Big Pharma, it's not on the radar, so doctors don't know about it too much. But celiac disease shortens your life drastically, and all it is an allergy to wheat gluten, and like I say, as quickly as 2 weeks from the time you quit it, all your symptoms go away. So, yeah. Yes?
I have a question about like Whole Foods and Trader Joe's.
Uh-huh.
When you go to buy meats there and they say that they're better than what you get at like Kroger and Mars,
Right.
I mean, is that the real deal?
Well, it depends on where they came from, because a lot of them will say grass-fed. You're going to pay isn't that funny? We have to pay a premium for buying an animal that was actually fed its real diet. Yeah, I think, Whole Foods is kind of borderlining Walmart now. They're the second largest to Walmart now. Did you know that? So there's some things on their menu that they sell genetically modified products in their store. So I'm going to say, read the labels, ask questions, find out where it's sourced and came from, and that should make you feel more comfortable. But I would say, generally speaking, you're going to get a better quality of meat at Whole Foods and Wild Oats and those places. Yes?
You just mentioned that dairy's bad for smoothies. Why
Well,
is that?
okay, yeah. I worked at a hospital for a short period of time, and it was a holistic hospital, and they taught Ayurveda. Ayurveda is a 5,000-year-old medical model coming out of India and Southeast Asia. And so I was taught how to make, anybody hear what paneer cheese is? Okay, everybody knows what paneer maybe. You go to an Indian restaurant and they have this spinach dish with little white chunks of cheese. Well, that's paneer cheese. Paneer cheese is kind of like Indian ricotta cheese. So all you do, you bring a gallon of milk to a boil, gallon of milk. And as soon as it comes to a boil, you take as little as a tablespoon of lemon juice and put it into that water, that milk, and right in a millisecond in front of your eyes, it turns into a solid. So it congeals, it coagulates. So this is what goes on in your stomach when you eat vitamin C, anything with vitamin C, acidic, along with a dairy product. So it went from being easily digestible to extremely hard to digest. So that's why anytime, if someone has put dairy in your smoothie, you've had somebody make it for you, I would bet my next paycheck that they also put high fructose corn syrup in it too, because that's what they do in airports. Why they do that, I don't know. There's very little fruit. It's mostly ice, dairy, sweetener, and a few token pieces of fruit, and you're mostly, you might as well get a candy bar. So the best thing is just get yourself a darn good blender. You can get them at Kmart for $20, $25. Go home, I got an austerizer, and I make a smoothie every single day. My wife and I drink it in the morning and evening. Yes?
So, would you say to avoid dairy, or just you need to not have dairy with acids?
Oh, no, don't avoid dairy. Obviously, no, it's a good question.
Because a lot of people are sensitive to dairy, and it can lead to a lot of bloating and
Oh,
increased
absolutely.
mucus
Oh,
production and all
especially
sorts of things.
today's
So,
dairy.
yeah, well, it's been messed with a lot.
That's been, we have RGBH. I have 3 granddaughters who are so embarrassed because they have premature breast development. We've seen it in young kids because the growth hormones in the meat and the milk are intended to make the cows lactate more. Whenever the baby eats this, the teenagers eat this food, then they also get stimulated by the hormones. We're putting animal hormones in us. I mean, there's already pig hormones and tomatoes and fish hormones and this, that. I mean, we're crossing species and doing things that our creator must be looking down going, woohoo, whoa, you messed up down there. Well, not that he's up here and we're down here, but you know what I'm saying. I went with the majority rule on that one. But our temple is this very amazing place. I don't know how to even explain how special each one of you are. And when you put the right food inside your body, you become somebody you never knew you were before. You become better at everything you do. I just wish it was a bottled drink and I could sell it to you. Yes?
What are your thoughts of pumpernickel bread?
Depends on if anything made in Indianapolis, no. They don't know what pumpernickel is. If you get pumpernickel from Chicago, it's like when you get sourdough bread in Indianapolis, you have to go, you got to go to San Francisco because you have no idea. I worked in the kosher delis in Boston for years, and we got real dark rye that tasted dark rye. Now, if you can get that kind of dark rye or make your own in a bread maker, that's good stuff. But just reduce the amount, because it does take an X amount of white flour, because otherwise you won't have any gluten to get your elevation. So, I don't know. The less bread, the better.
Yeah.
That's what I think. That's helped me out a lot. I had another hand go up. There were 2 hands that went up. Yes?
What do you think of vitamins, like what's the vitamin store?
We have to take vitamins. We can't live without vitamins. But the type of vitamins, there's a lot of stuff out there. First of all, first rule of thumb, never buy a vitamin from a doctor, because they're just trying to sell stuff. But I get a food-based vitamin. There's a vitamin brand called Raw. It has a whole gamut of them. Source of Life is the one that I took for years. If you know somebody that sells Juice Plus, that's a good vitamin. There's a lot of talk about Protandem being very good. You have to know somebody who sells it. But yes, we could not get enough vitamins from the American diet on a daily basis if we did not supplement our diet with vitamins. And I totally agree. I would say that omega-3 is a big one, and a multivitamin, and any type of antioxidant. Now, an antioxidant could be vitamin A, beta carotene, that kind of thing. That's what goes in and stops the cancer. Or you can drink your antioxidants in a smoothie. I'm picturing my big smoothie I have every day. And by the end of the day, my wife and I will have consume that whole thing. I'll throw raw asparagus in there, and I'll sweeten it up with some stevia. You can't even tell the green stuff's in there. You think you're drinking a sweet drink when you sweeten it up with those two things. So you can sneak a lot of stuff in a smoothie, and you're getting it all in one. You're getting your 7 to 9 fruits and vegetables in one day. And Hoosiers would rather swallow than chew anyway. It's too hard to chew. So, so let me just chew it up here. Oh, but it's excellent stuff. The last time a guy said, "Could I put some vodka in there?" I said, "You do whatever you want." I was making smoothies at the YMCA last weekend for the kids. And of course, one guy wanted to put vodka in. I said, maybe this might not be the best time. Are there any more questions? Yes.
What are the trace minerals you were talking about?
Oh, you can buy these there's little vials. If I go to Good Earth, they'll say it's the hottest selling vitamin they have right now. It's a little vial, and you just shake it and a drop comes out. 8 drops, and they're trace minerals and enzymes that you don't normally get. After 2 or 3 days of being on this, you will see a difference in your energy levels because you're deficient. You're malnourished. We're all malnourished to a certain extent. So that's why when they say, when you take those drinks, energy drinks, and when the multicolored ones, well, when you take that for the first time and you're starved from nutrition, of course you're going to get a big buzz and energy rush because for the first time in months you've got B12 running through your veins, and so I've got all the energy I need. But it's also got caffeine and guano and all these other things that stimulants you may not want to put in your body. And caffeine is a diuretic. Caffeine flushes water out of your system. I'd say 90% of you are mildly dehydrated. That's just the way it is because we don't drink enough water. We look at water as something, ew, it's not hip, doesn't taste good, it's not carbonated, ergo I'm not going to drink it. I'm going for the energy drinks that have 3 O's in the first 3 ingredients, fructose, sucrose, dextrose, maltodextrin, all these things. Slim Fast that they give to older people, the first ingredient, sugar. This is why reading labels has to be, a ritual that you have to really get down on. So you have the power. No one else does. You got the power. More questions? No? All right. Well, I'm going to stay around for a while. I'm blatantly promoting my new book. Me, a dog's got to wag his own tail, believe me. No, I write for like 12 different papers, and there's maybe 60 short attention span articles in there about, like the hot dogs, things that I'm talking about, and then about 60 different recipes in there that you can use that they're all vegetarian, but it doesn't mean you can't add a piece of meat to them. So just because I'm vegetarian doesn't mean I'm expecting